Live.
We tend not to think about right now, but right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you. Donate at v.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
You're listening to Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. The ESPN Cleveland 101.3 lineup is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. WholesaleSupply.us.
Mix 104.1 and Honda of Cleveland are teaming up to give one deserving teacher in our local area the chance to win a 2025 Honda Civic LX. Nominate your favorite teacher at mymix1041.com or on the Mix 1041 app.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line. Hey, Andy Morris here. Join me along with my co-host on The Drive, presented by Hardees, weekdays at 5 p.m. on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Cleveland and Bradley County's local sports show, weekdays at 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no style. Got a thirst for killing. Think about it.
Welcome back to The Drive Friday edition. I'm Andy Morris here with Jim Gum. Jacob Mason in the building. Yes, Jacob is here. He's a part of the show today, if anyone's wondering.
Hey, I'm starting to wonder if Steve even knows that I do this. I guess I'm just showing up so I don't get fined. I don't know.
We're going to have some fun with it. I can promise you that. But again, we appreciate everyone tuning into The Drive to listen. It's been a great week. First of all, Jim has had some awesome guests lined up for us all week long. And obviously had the new Cleveland High School head basketball coach for the boys, Howard Pride, on the show this week. So you guys can always go back on Facebook, on YouTube, ESPN Cleveland 101.3, The Drive, and watch those episodes, listen to them. And maybe down the road we might have some video with them as well. But right now you can go back, see some really cool graphics, advertisements, and listen to us because we're streaming on the ESPN Cleveland app, on YouTube, on Facebook, all the platforms, and starting to turn into the real deal. So everyone needs to be careful and realize we got the real deal going on here at The Drive.
Hey, for sure. I've been told I have a face for radio, so I don't know that the video footage would be any good. But you get to see some funny reactions.
Listen, you got a cool jersey on today, so that would work out pretty good. He's got the throwback Atlanta Braves Stars and Stripes jersey, where the Braves lettering is the stars with the navy background. Very, very patriotic, very fitting. I like it.
Yeah, who do you think's on the back?
That one, I'm going to say Dansby Swanson.
That was a great guess.
Okay.
Yep, it's a Dansby jersey. Outside of Acuna, I don't know that I own a Braves jersey anymore. With
the current player.
Yeah, with the current player. I've got a Freeman jersey. Oddly enough, I have a Brian Kent jersey. It was on sale on like a Chinese website.
That's awesome.
I bought it, and it's one.
Matt Kemp.
Sorry, Matt Kemp.
Matt Kemp.
Yes,
yeah.
Matt Kemp. His short stint there, but it was a.
It was short, but man, he was awesome with the Dodgers.
Well, you could are you a very patient person?
Yeah.
You could get an X-Acto knife and get those nameplates off the back, or those letters off the back, if you really wanted to. I'm just saying.
That is true. I also bought a World Series jersey, like when we won with the gold lettering.
Oh, yeah.
I never could pick who I wanted to have the name stitched on the back. and I just never got it done. So like that one's still blank. I could go back. I think the Braves still offer that.
They do. They do.
You can take it to the stadium and have it stitched. So maybe we'll do like a fan vote one day, and I'll let the fans decide who I get stitched on the back from that iconic World Series win.
It's funny. So Jim knows this. One of the days you were out when you were down there getting that good tan you've got now, I wore one of my Braves jerseys just to try to get some mojo going. Man, we were struggling.
Yeah.
And I came in with the World Series edition gold trim, and I believe the one I wore was the Ronald Acuna Jr. one.
It was beautiful.
Who did not participate in that World Series due to injury. Yeah. And then my son got the same jersey, except he got a Dansby Swanson one because he's like, hey, I want to get someone that's going to be a Brave for a long time. Who should I get? And I was like, good Dansby Swanson. And that worked out great for us. But still, just to be able to reminisce, starting to have a little bit of a flashback from that team because they struggled early in 2021. This Braves team, same thing. And boy, do they have it going, sweeping the New York Mets, a sweep. Those of you that follow me on social media, my timeline on Instagram is like all Atlanta Braves right now. I'm just posting all kinds of fun stuff because I was pumped up.
Is it not? And I think this is the correct number. They've won 26 out of the last 36 series against the New York Mets. That's incredible, man. They absolutely own them.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I was going to say I feel bad for them. I don't. I don't feel the least bit bad for the Mets.
Don't say that on this station.
It's funny because like I scroll through TikTok and like the person in me wants to feel bad for the meltdowns that you see them having, but then I think they're the Mets. So it's funny. Just the Braves, it's like when they play them, just a light clicks on, and for the Mets, a light just turns off, it seems. And now they play the Phillies, and I'm kind of hoping they both just kind of split that series.
Yes, exactly. So right now the Phillies and the Mets are tied at the top of the division for first place. So I'm right there with you. Beat up on each other. Split the series. I don't know if it's a 3 or 4 game set. I'll have to look, but I hope you're right on with that. It's a
3-game series, okay. And then we go to New York for a 4-game series.
So listen, that's the thing. We're down in Miami today. We're going to talk about all this here in just a moment.
I'm changing this up. I want the Mets to take 2 of 3. And then I want us to go up and do the same thing we just did. I want us to go
sweep them again. Sweep them in 4. Jacob's getting gritty over here, Jim.
Hey, we're on a roll, man. We're on a roll. You got to keep vibes high.
This is the thing. So Braves getting ready to start a series down there in Miami tonight with the Marlins, who are in last place in the division. You got to show up and do your work. You got to show up, do your job, treat it just like you treated that game last night in the series that we just got finished up with the Mets. Got to treat it the same way.
We've talked about this. There are certain franchises out there that it's hard to be a fan of, and the Marlins have got to be one of the most difficult franchises to be a fan because they're constantly in the cellar, and they're always selling their best players. They can. I know they've won 2 World Series, which just blows my mind, but other than those 2 World Series, they've absolutely been a joke of a franchise, and they're once again floundering in last place. I mean, that's got to be the hardest team to be a fan of.
So I think I have one that tops them. I really do. I think the Oakland A's should be forced to sell. I genuinely think they put no money into that organization. They had loyal fans in Oakland.
Playing in a minor league park in Sacramento right now.
Yeah,
while they're trying to find a home.
Well, they'll be in Las Vegas. That's going to happen.
I think there should be like a league minimum. Like you have to at least spend like that. That's how poorly I feel like the A's are run. Like they don't spend any money.
That's true.
Any money on players. Well, and they're. I mean, we benefited from it, but like they're constant sellers. Like they're
anyone that gets good that is going to earn any money, they get rid of them. You're exactly right. But I'll say this about the Miami Marlins: there was a point in time where they had Christian Yelich, ended up being an MVP. They had Giancarlo at the time. Mike Stanton was known as Mike Stanton back then.
I remember that.
They had JT Realmuto at catcher. They had D. Gordon, who was at the top of his game when these guys were on the same team. And then they had a guy, listen, very, very unfortunate situation, but Jose Fernandez probably was going to win a Cy Young at some point in his career and suffered a tragic boating accident down there in Miami and lost him. So you look at that team that they had, and they had a decent bullpen too, and they couldn't win. It's just not a very well managed organization. And we've seen ownership change, we've seen management change. We saw Derek Jeter go down there. They tried to take the Bronx guys, Derek Jeter and Don Mattingly, and turn the franchise around with those guys. They couldn't do it. They're one of those ones we talked about being cursed. Arkansas Razorbacks in the College World Series. The Miami Marlins in Major League Baseball are cursed.
You know, you've got the Marlins, you've got the Rays, the Pirates. They're glorified minor league teams that are build-up players, and then they go elsewhere to be stars. That's pretty much how those franchises are run. You could look around the league and how many great former Rays there are, former Marlins, former Pirates, and, you know, how long will Paul Skeens be there? I don't think he'll be there very long.
No, It's funny to me that the Pirates tried so hard to get his card, like that front. You know, they tried to
his
offer,
rookie card.
Yeah, they tried to offer all that stuff up to put it in. Like, I don't think he's there. Like, if they're truly smart and they actually want to be a good team, I probably would trade him. I would go out because the yield you would get back from him,
you get a lot of talent. Yeah,
you could get a lot of talent. Like, you could go get somebody's farm system with some proven players for a guy that's, you know, as of right now, is set to have a pretty nasty career as a pitcher. So, I mean, to me, if you're smart, you go do it, like you trade him. But, I mean, that's normally what they do, and then they just sit there and then they waste their talent.
I mean, it's like I said, the Marlins, the Rays, the Pirates. I really feel for the fans of those teams. I do. Because
Angels.
The Pirates at one time were a great franchise, and they paid their players, and they had really good teams. And then ever since when free agency began, that's when the smaller market teams fell by the wayside, and the bigger markets, you know, because there's no salary cap, and they cannot spend what the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the other franchises out there can, and they're constantly losing those players to the bigger teams, and it is what it is. I don't, you know, like I said, it's tough.
I'll say this on that note. You go back, Jacob brought up the A's, who are just going by the Athletics this year.
Yeah.
They should go by the California Athletics. I don't know why they're not. I guess because they're moving to Vegas.
Sacramento Athletics,
and I get it. But have you ever watched one of their games this year? The graphic says ATH.
I know. There's no city name in front of it.
So they're just the Athletics. Everything they wear, home, away, says Athletics on it. That's it, A's. But going back to when Billy Beane, anyone that's seen the movie Moneyball knows the story a little bit better, but I can remember because I'm friends with Eric Burns, who played for the Oakland A's and ended up, you know, having a pretty good career in his own right. But just talking to him, talking about how the A's were ran in the early 2000s under Billy Beane, he was making an effort to hold on to those good guys, negotiate contracts to get them to stay there in Oakland. And as Jacob said, they don't even do that anymore.
No.
Ever since Billy Beane has moved on from being the GM with the A's, they're as you said, Jim, cellar dwellers
every year,
and it's kind of confusing. I guess they're really banking on the revenue coming in Vegas. They're going to get some help from the city. Obviously, they're going to pour into having a nice facility, which is something they've lacked for many years. The Coliseum in Oakland was terrible.
Oh yeah.
But you have to put an effort, and I'm on board with this. Jacob said this a minute ago. Major League Baseball needs to be proactive by either setting a minimum or saying whatever your revenue is, you have to spend X% on your team, on your product. Something's got to be done because we've seen them be successful. We've seen them be good with a low salary because they were managed properly.
Yeah, when they had the Bash brothers, you had Canseco, McGuire, and you had Walt Weiss was a Rookie of the Year there, had great pitching. They were a franchise, and the ballpark was – listen, they never led the league in attendance, but they were middle-of-the-road attendance-wise even then. People would come to see. But, man, you know, thinking about this, the city of Oakland have lost the Raiders. They've lost them twice, actually. They've lost the Raiders. They've lost the Athletics. And even the basketball team, the Warriors, have moved across the bay to San Francisco. So the city of Oakland has nothing left. I mean, gosh, can you imagine if you were an Oakland sports fan, how bummed you are? And then the football teams, Cal and Stanford, they were left out when the Pac-12 went away, so they're in the ACC. I hate it. Like I always
sit there on the Pacific Ocean.
I always think about that, and we're pretty blessed around here. None of our teams are going anywhere. I can't imagine what it's like to be a fan of a franchise that ups and leaves.
Yeah.
How tough that would be.
Like I think about the Rams when they left
St. Louis. Yeah, that's
like,
tough.
That would be so and like it's not like you like to me with Oakland, like with them moving to Vegas, like at least that's still doable. Like it's not ideal by any means. It's no longer in your back pocket, but it's like right there. If you're St. Louis and they move all the way across the country to California, like how I mean, you can support them, I guess, but like, how do you really?
Oh, listen, I struggle with that because growing up a Browns fan, never, ever in my life have I or could I cheer for the Baltimore Ravens. Couldn't do it. We saw the Titans come here from Houston. Never can I imagine any Houston Oilers fans being able to cheer for the Tennessee Titans. I think it's unrealistic. Now, what's kind of crazy is where you have seen it is in Major League Baseball. Like when the Braves left Milwaukee, there's still a lot of Braves fans in Milwaukee, which is crazy to me now that they have the Brewers.
Well, think about this. What if you were a Montreal Expos fan? You're not a Nationals fan.
No, not at all.
You felt slighted there.
Listen, that's a complete flip.
Talking about St. Louis, they've lost two teams. They lost the Cardinals to Phoenix, and they lost the Rams back to L.A. So they've been kind of messed over twice. And, it's so funny. I don't know if y'all have heard this, but Atlanta's on the verge of maybe getting another NHL team. They've had two chances, too.
For a third time.
They've had the Flames. They had the Thrasher. The Thrasher. So maybe they're getting the third time is the charm for them. I would think St. Louis, San Diego deserves another chance at the NFL. I really do.
Yeah. I think Atlanta – I think people were surprised with MLS, like how successful like Atlanta helped one of those teams, and maybe they're thinking that the town can handle being a hockey town again. And I don't know. I'm again, we've tried this twice.
With the NHL, if they do this, the NHL teams could be in Gwinnett or Alpharetta or something like that. In North, it's not in the city. It could be basically a suburb of Atlanta,
basically like the Braves.
And they think. They do the demographics. They think the demographics there probably would support the NHL more than a downtown Atlanta franchise would. So.
And that's exactly why the Braves made the move to Cobb County. Mm-hmm. And it's sounding like that Gwinnett is offering that same type of deal for a major hockey team, for an NHL team. And my hopes are that if they've got to do it right, because if you lose it for a third time, you're not getting another chance.
But getting back, the Braves need to sweep the Marlins. Isn't that where this began?
Well, hey, so listen, we were talking about some cities and some teams and things. We've been sitting on this for a little while.
Yeah.
Some of the worst rebrands in sports. Now, this could be a complete move from a location, or it could just be a team like the Marlins losing that awesome teal and black silver combination they had as far as their actual branding. But I want to ask you guys, what do you think the worst rebrands in sports are?
As far as getting from one nickname to another?
It can be
or
logo image change. It can be a complete change. You're talking about the Expos going to DC. That's apples and cucumbers right there.
Yeah.
Those are, you're talking about a team, a Canada's team, and then becoming the team in the capital of the United States.
Now,
so
I'm not a fan. Listen, I'm not anti Guardians. That nickname doesn't bother me like it does some people. But the one I guess that I don't like the most is probably the Commanders. I was never a anti-Redskins. When I think of Redskins, I do not think of Native Americans. I think of a football team that played football in Washington. I never thought of a group of people.
Yeah,
I just didn't.
Yeah, and to me, I think I'm with you. That one's bad. I really don't like the Guardians. I
can't stand that one.
That one doesn't bother me.
That's at the top of my list because that was my dad grew up in Cleveland. That was my American League team. Yeah, so big time Braves fan. Growing up, I watched the Indians anytime I had the opportunity to, and I still have a lot of family up there. They can't stand it. It drives them crazy. It drives a lot of that fan base crazy up there because you lose so much tradition.
I'll tell you a rebrand that the new name doesn't bother me, but the uniforms I can't stand. I thought the Houston Oilers had some of the nicest football uniforms in the entire NFL, And then they come to the Titans, and I'm sorry, since day one, the Titans uniforms have always just looked hideous compared to the Oilers. Why can't the Tennessee Titans have the same uniform design as the old Oilers had?
Yeah, so
they should.
Isn't there some beef between them and
The Texans?
Oh, big time.
They own the color scheme or something like that.
I think that they should have a game that they play, like when they play in the season.
For all the marbles.
Each year, you get the rights to wear it. And so if you win that game,
add a little meaning to the game.
Yeah,
I like that. That's cool.
I think you call it like the Oilers showdown, something. I don't know, but they play for the rights to wear that jersey for the next year. And then if you win it, the moment that you've won that game, the rights are back with you.
Do you remember when the Oilers first moved? They were called the Tennessee Oilers for a couple of years, and then when they opened up the stadium,
which made zero sense,
then they rebranded to the Titans. But they played Memphis that first year. Remember that?
Made zero sense being the Tennessee Oilers.
Because my brother lived in Memphis when that happened. He goes, the people there did not want them there because they knew it was just a stopgap between them and Nashville. They said, well, we don't want them for temporarily for a year. So they were supposed to play there for 2 years. They ended up playing in Nashville the second year, playing at Vanderbilt Stadium. Yeah. And then, all right, what was the name of the stadium when it first? It was it was LP Field after, but it was some Adelphia Coliseum, which was some kind of a cable company or something.
Yeah. Of course, now Nissan Stadium, and they're building a new Nissan. But so as far as this whole rebrand thing, in honor of the Braves playing the Marlins tonight, I mentioned them. There was something classic about those teal hats with the black F.
They were called the Florida Marlins.
Yeah, the black F outline. And I don't mind Miami Marlins at all. That doesn't bother me. But why would you get away from one of the best color schemes in baseball? Those teal hats with the black bill and the black F outlined in silver, and you had the Marlin jumping through it. When they went to that hideous orange and yellow, and it was like a rainbow array of colors. That was even worse than they have now. But I don't know how you completely abandon the teal, black, and silver, because that was great.
What about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They had
creamsicles,
the orange, the creamsicles, and then they got the pewter color pants and the red and the black. I like the original Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First, I like the logo much better, and I like the colors. So the colors, by the way, that color that they wore, the exact same color that the University of Tennessee wears. The exact same color. Yep.
I've got one. We're going to switch it up to hockey. Do y'all remember when the Anaheim Ducks?
Mighty Ducks, yeah.
When they were the Mighty Ducks?
Yeah.
Like, and those jerseys to me are like classic. There's nothing about Anaheim's jerseys right now that like I can relate to, but when they were for a while, like when I thought of hockey, there were a couple jerseys that I would think of, and theirs was one of them. And now, they just don't even resonate with me anymore.
I'll tell you, a hockey jersey color scheme that changed for the better was the Los Angeles Kings. They used to have yellow and blue, and then they went to basically the Raiders colors, silver and black. They looked fantastic, man, when they went to that silver and black scheme, and that's when I guess Gretzky was playing with them. But yeah. So as far as the uniforms, some are better, some are worse. But some of these, I scratch my head sometimes. I'm like, who in the world thought this was an improvement of what you had before?
Yeah, I've got one in college sports that I think was a huge improvement, and it was kind of going back to an original, but Pittsburgh.
The Panthers?
The Pittsburgh Panthers going back from the navy and gold, going back to the royal and that yellow gold. I think that pops. And when a lot of people, when they see that, who do you think of?
I think of Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett. Who else?
And Johnny Majors.
And who else?
Dan Marino.
That's it. Dan Marino. Yeah. So those bright yellow helmets, yellow face, that is the way to go. So that was one that was for the better. NFL, last one I got, and then you got it, Jacob. NFL, I think the city of L.A. is ruining their team's color. I hate the Rams uniforms now.
I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Well, that's one I was going to say.
The numbers are hideous. Yeah. They're bubble-looking numbers. It looks like something my daughter wrote.
The Ram emblem on the side of the helmet is messed up now.
Yeah,
it used to be perfect.
They need to go back to the metallic gold and navy. That was the Kurt Warner, the
St. Louis Rams
Yeah,
look.
St. Louis Rams look. What do they call it? The greatest show on turf?
Yes, the greatest show
Isaac
on turf.
Bruce, Oz Hakeem, Marshall Faulk. Man, those teams were solid. But
man.
and then the Chargers. That's another one. First of all, I hated them leaving San Diego.
Same here.
Hated it. And I actually was one, and I'm going back to Junior Seau here a little bit, but I really liked the dark navy
Me
and
too.
yellow.
I love when Dan Fouch was there, Junior Seau.
Yeah.
To me, that's what the Chargers should look like.
I don't mind the occasional powder blue, but they've messed with it too much.
Yeah,
they've
they
messed with it way too much.
One of the best rebrands, and like I'm gonna say like actual brands, and like we've talked about this on the show, but college football is when Tennessee moved from Adidas to Nike. When they moved from Adidas to Nike, their orange became one color orange. Their gear,
They cleaned it up.
It went from looking like when you would go into Neyland, it looked like a construction workers convention because like it literally was just a different color orange everywhere you looked. Now with Nike, and I think sports brands have gotten better about this, but back in the day it was awful. But when they switched to Nike, the moment they switched to Nike, all their uniforms got cleaner. Everything had like a brand to it. I think it was, in my opinion, one of the best college football moves when they did that. And so now with the whole, I think that's why Tennessee fans were so up in arms about the fact that Adidas may be moving back in. I don't think that's a worry anymore. I think everybody kind of understands like the color palette, like what they're going for. But Tennessee was a big one for me. Like I think that's one of the better rebrands that college football has probably ever seen.
Absolutely. Hey, right now we're going to go ahead and head to break. But as we're heading out, you want to hear a good rebrand? The team that's about to take over Tennessee, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Diego Pavia, that new V, that new anchor down
like
logo.
that. I
I
like
tell
the
you what,
logo.
that's been a good rebrand for those guys. And I'm being facetious. They are not going to take over Tennessee, Vol fans, so don't freak out. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. We'll be right back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
When you're craving serious burger goodness, head to Hardees for the all-new barbecued pulled pork Frisco burger. A charbroiled, quarter-pound, 100% Angus beef patty, topped with 16 hours slow-smoked barbecued pulled pork on toasted sourdough. Only for a limited time at Hardees. Get a free pulled pork Frisco burger when you download the app and join My Rewards. See app for terms.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
You're listening to Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. The ESPN Cleveland 101.3 lineup is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. WholesaleSupply.us.
Cleveland Tire Center's 49th anniversary blowout with great specials every day, Monday through Saturday. A $200 gift card drawing every Saturday through July 3rd. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name said it all for 49 years. Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive. For over 100 years, Mayfield Dairy has been delivering farm fresh dairy beloved by Southern families. In 1983, Mayfield introduced its iconic yellow jug. Gotta love that gold jug, I tell you what. And the good thing about the yellow jug is it helps block harmful light rays, protecting the flavor and nutrients in the milk. Learn more about Mayfield today at mayfielddairy.com. proud supporters of the Atlanta Braves right here on the drive. And man, I got excited talking a little bit of baseball, some rebranding and things like that. And I mentioned the Florida Marlins, now the Miami Marlins. I hope they're ready to get their butts wore out because Braves country is fired up, baby.
Well, the Braves are playing really well right now, and they had to do what we just said that they've done. They had to. I thought they had to take 2 out of 3 minimum. Sweeping was just like icing on the cake. Now there's that confidence factor. You can see it in everyone. So, and the Braves, boy, the fans got into it with the chop and everything. I know it had a noise of opposing fans. I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's a cool thing to see the fans get into it. The players, you can see the confidence. You can see the confidence when they're walking on the field, off the field. There's a confidence that they have that I guess they were lacking for a good month.
Well, hey, the fans hit Soto with the overrated chant.
Oh, that was good. I'm glad you remembered that.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
And then Dylan Lee set his butt down. It was awesome.
Listen, so the fans started the overrated chant, and then our organist, which you got to follow this guy. He's a great person. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram. It's Braves Organist. He chimed in with a dun 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 dun. He got into it too. He was playing the overrated and agging the fans on. So it really had a little bit of a feel of not quite playoff baseball, but hey, this game means something. It definitely had a different energy. But of course, the Braves did beat the Mets again last night, 7-1 in the final game of the series to get the sweep. That's huge, being able to sweep the first place Mets, who always seem to melt down when they come to Atlanta. So maybe it's the humidity. I don't know. They just can't handle Atlanta when they come down. But Spencer Strider went 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. And listen, early in the game, he was a little shaky.
Yeah,
First 2 innings, you kind of wondered what Spencer Strider we were going to get. Started to settle in after that. Continues to work his way back health-wise, and not quite at 100%. And I'd say he's probably not going to get to 100% in this season. But, man, I tell you what, he's pretty close to 90.
Well, him at 90% is over 100% for most pitchers because he does have superior talent, and he's got a lot. His fastball is getting a little bit more juice on it. It's his location is off right now, and that's timing. Give him some more innings, and I think you'll see the best of him come July, August. I think we'll see a better version of him.
The velocity's going up.
But so every now and then he'll leave one over the middle of the plate, and that's going to get. Listen, he's playing big league talent. These guys are going to hit it. You got to be able to, throw strikes without serving it up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so during the TV broadcast last night, Tom Glavine, Jeff Francoeur were in the booth and really did a great job kind of breaking down where Strider is at currently. And the very things we're talking about is what they were talking about. And you say that he was leaving stuff over the plate. Tom Glavine, Hall of Fame pitcher in his own right, was saying, listen, this is a guy who doesn't pitch anything like I pitched. This is a guy that has relied on his power stuff, but you can tell he's starting to learn how to pitch. And what he meant by that was not just throw the baseball hard and it go wherever and you're going to blow it past people. He's learning how to locate with intention to set up that slider. Right. And you saw it last night. He had guys swinging at that slider. Pete Alonso should be embarrassed with his plate appearances against Spencer Strider because he was looking straight slider. Spencer was throwing the slider, and Pete Alonso could not get it. He was whiffing, and listen, we're sitting up here. That game took place in Cobb County, and I could feel the whiff off Pete Alonso's bat. That's how bad it was.
Well, Pete Alonso, he strikes out a lot anyway, and against a guy like him when he's on, that's a recipe for disaster for the Mets. But yeah, this was, like I said, this was a great series win for the Braves. And like I said, the worst thing you can do is go to Miami and lose 2 out of 3. You got to win 2 out of 3 minimum there in Miami for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This was a huge series, and really it's marking some really important baseball coming up because we've talked about our schedule, right? But we haven't really talked about the Mets and the Phillies are about to play, and then the Mets we have to play the Mets for another 4-game series. The Phillies are going to play the Mets, then they also have to play Houston, who is nobody to shake your stick at. So if the Braves kind of go on like a burner right here and win these series, and because after Houston, guess who comes to town?
Philadelphia Phillies.
So that's what I'm saying. Like
this is our upcoming schedule.
This is
we're
a very important month of baseball.
Yeah, we're in Miami tonight for a 3-game series. Right after next Monday, heading up to New York to Flushing. I love saying that. How proud do you have to be to play in a city called Flushing? Head up to New York there to Flushing to play the Mets for a 4-game series. And then you have the Philadelphia Phillies, as Jacob said, at home for 3 games. You can make up so much ground over the next week that you could have people completely forgetting about where you were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you want to talk about buying or selling, like the Braves could be major buyers, and you know it could allow AA to go, because we all know AA to the core of him wants to go out and make his team better. But if they go on a burner, he can go look at the people, the powers that be that hold the money, and say, hey, we can make this happen. We can make this happen. We've got a real shot at this.
Yeah, I like the Braves. Listen, you want to play the teams that you have to catch. You don't want to rely. You don't want to look at the scoreboard and hope someone else is doing the work for you. You want to play the Mets. You want to play the Phillies. You want that because it's right there in front of you. You determine your own destiny, if you will. So this is what you want. Obviously, when you're playing the Miami Marlins, you got to take advantage of that and then set up everything for the Mets and the Phillies. There again, that's what you want.
Yeah, last night Matt Olson stays hot with 2 doubles. Bullpen, that's been the problem area for the Braves. First of all, the two things that have been the biggest issues were inconsistent run production. You just played a first-place team, and every single night had solid run production. That's a big deal in itself. But you look at the bullpen. Inyel De Los Santos came in, pitched pretty solid last night. Rafael Montero came in at the end of the game, pitched pretty solid, did his job. But I say this every single show, Dylan Lee is the leader in that bullpen. He's kind of cemented himself. He's not your everyday closer. They're going to kind of play the matchups between him and Rafael Iglesias. But what he's done this season, listen, I was texting with Josh Rogers last night, and Josh said, I don't trust anybody in that bullpen. I said, I'm the same way except Dylan Lee. Dylan Lee has been one of the most consistent relief pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, and he goes about his business. There's no flair. He's quiet, so it kind of gets overlooked. This guy has been elite, and I'm excited to see the way his season proceeds from this point. I think potentially he's a guy, especially All-Star game being in Atlanta, he could be considered to be a bullpen piece because we've seen over the past few years All-Star teams are starting to add more relievers just because you've got so many guys that make the team that aren't able to play in as far as starting pitchers and stuff. So they call on these guys that it's not going to be a huge change in their routine. And so you're seeing naturally more bullpen guys. I could see Dylan Lee being in the mix because he has been elite.
And for people that don't know, Dylan Lee's a Cleveland guy. Did y'all know that?
We've talked about it on the show a couple times.
You know, I've watched him throw a bullpen session at Lee, and like he has a house here, and you know, so what a better guy to root for and kind of like stick behind as someone who has chose to live here of all places in the offseason. So.
Yeah, tonight the Braves are down in the 305 facing the Miami Marlins, who are 29-44. So listen, get you a few more wins right here against this group of guys. First pitch 7-10. Grant Holmes on the mound. He's 3-6 with a 3.97 ERA. And don't be fooled. Grant Holmes, that ERA, not terrible at 3.97, but that ERA was a little bit higher because he out of the gate, not what he is now. He's been pitching pretty solid for the Atlanta Braves. You'll be able to listen to that game on Mix 104.1, presented by Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland. Braves currently 34-39, third in the NL East, and after that sweep of the Mets, 10 games out of first place, which if you would have told me going into that series we'd be at 10 games, I would have been ecstatic, and I am ecstatic right now.
Yeah, like you said, they needed to do something now because – listen, you want to be hot at the All-Star break. Get yourself within reason. And like I said, the big thing right now is don't look at the Phillies and Mets ahead of you. Look at that wild card. Look where you are there. Get a little bit closer to those teams. And then after the All-Star break, get yourself in playoff in that playoff the reality of making the playoffs, then you can start to focus in on the division.
Completely happy with a wild card.
Get yourself wild card eligible. first, and then try to win that division.
Listen, Jim Gum is the speaker of rationality on this show because we're all getting excited. And listen, this is the good thing about sports. You should get excited when your team goes on a run. You should embrace it and enjoy it. But being realistic, I'm completely fine with a wild card spot. The way things started and the way it was looking, there was a point in time where we're thinking, hey, we're about to blow this team up and start trading guys away. I'm 100% okay with a wild card spot.
5.5 out, that's not unrealistic. I think by the time the All-Star game gets here, if you're within 3, maybe 2.5 games, you got to feel pretty darn good about your odds.
Yeah, for sure. As a coach, when you get down early, like in a game, like when a team comes out and puts 8 runs on you, the first thing you think about is, I don't have to get all of this at once. I just got to start chipping away at it. Focus on your next at bat. Focus on the next thing that comes. And right now, that's the Marlins. And as long as you keep your mind where your feet are, and you go to work and you keep on chipping away at it, who knows where the Braves will be, come time when it all really matters.
Yeah, another team that we're going to see here before the All-Star break, back in Atlanta, by the way, because thank goodness we're not going to be in California because we've not performed well in California. We are completely defeated in California, meaning we have not won a game in the state of California. But the Los Angeles Dodgers, obviously one of the favorites to win the World Series this year. Bunch of MVPs on that team. You've heard me talk a bunch of junk about them on this show because I'm not a Dodgers guy. Outside of the Phillies and the Mets, if you're to say what organization can you just absolutely not stand, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's where I am on that. But last night, that team, the Dodgers playing a big rival in the San Diego Padres, they had some tempers flaring in that game. Benches cleared. Guys were getting plunked. Listen, Fernando Tatis Jr. got drilled again.
Shohei gets drilled.
They were going. So in response, Shohei gets plunked right in the shoulder blade there, and bench is clear. And listen, it wasn't just one of those things where the bench is cleared and they kind of jog out and meet each other. There was some pushing and shoving going on, so much so that manager for the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, and manager for the Padres, Mike Schilt, they were poking each other in the chest, saying, and I don't know if you saw this, Jim.
I saw the highlights.
Dave Roberts said, we'll talk about this after the game, and he started pointing to the tunnel, saying, we're going to meet down in the tunnel and finish this.
I love it. Listen, we're talking about the Mets and the Braves don't like each other. The Dodgers and the Padres and the Dodgers and the Giants, they can't stand each other. I love real rivalries. I really do. I think it's good for sports when there's true dislike. I'm not going to use the hate word just yet, although it may be closer to hate than ever before. Those two teams actually do not like each other. The fans don't like each other. The teams don't like each other. The managers don't like each other. I think it's great, man.
Yeah, in real life, I don't like to use the word hate. But in sports, like, there's a different type of hate. Like, it's not the hate that's
it's
like
a between the line hatred.
Yeah, it's a between the line. Like, when I think of hate, like, I think Phillies fans are filled with hate across the board. Like, in every sport that there is in Philadelphia, like, they are the epitome. Like, that's where the line is drawn because I think a lot of Phillies fans go past it.
Yeah.
But like, they hate each other, and it's like it's a sports hate, and I love it. It's like New York and Boston hate each other. I think we could go across every
the Steelers
sport.
and Ravens.
Yeah, hate each other. And so, like, I love because that's what makes sports fun to talk about. That's what it makes fun to watch. Is when two teams like genuinely just cannot stand each other. Like in my mind right now, Steve Spurrier makes me want to like put holes in like walls, thinking about what he would comment about Georgia, and like I could not stand him.
Listen, the Dodgers and Padres are at a point now. Like everyone knows that the Dodgers and Giants had a rivalry going back to New York before they headed west. When they were in New York City, they didn't like each other then. They didn't like each other in the move. Now the Padres are becoming relevant, so much so that. Listen, the hatred between these two teams, now that the Padres have a good team and are relevant, Listen, they hate each other like Shedeur Sanders and the Georgia Bulldogs hate speed limits.
Gosh.
That's true.
Had to throw that out. It was a good week for that.
That is true. I've been a pro. Georgia needs to sign up with Uber for NIL Collective, and they should have a ride.
Uber points wherever you want.
Wherever they need to go. They need to stay out of the driver's seat. Only place I need to see them go fast is on the football field.
That's it. But listen, so talking about this Padres team, they're relevant now, and they haven't been for a long time. And honestly, I think when you look top to bottom, they're just as good. They don't have the exact same star power, but they got a solid rotation. They got a solid bullpen, and the Padres are not little brother anymore. So excited to kind of see how that West plays out moving forward.
Another story from that last night. An immaculate inning was basically stolen from the Dodgers. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. That's a 9 pitches.
Okay.
3 outs.
I can drop my pride. I even text Andy about this. I'd never heard of it. I guess that's how rare they are that you just don't see it. I'd never. So like all this stuff started popping up, and I looked it up on my phone, and I was like, man, that's crazy, dude. It was middle. And so, like, I have always said an umpire, like, that's the human element of the game. But I'm starting to change my tune a little bit. Like, I think you should be able to, like, tap on the helmet like we've seen in preseason.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And, like that stuff doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen very often. You watch it happen in a game last night, and it couldn't have been as clear down the middle, and it was stolen from him. So
yeah, I could be wrong on this, but I think the stat was there's only been 7 immaculate innings since 1967. I think that's I could be wrong on the year, but I think it was 1967.
That's crazy, man. I mean, listen, like I said, it's so rare that, like I said, it's a 3 strikes you're out, 3 strikes you're out, 3 strikes you're out, and that's it. You just don't see that in Major League Baseball.
All right, Jim, I got the video. I want you to look at where this ball is located.
Oh my gosh!
It's middle.
I mean, that's
middle.
Right down the heart of the plate.
That's a strike 100 out of 100 times, and he called it a ball.
Yes.
Holy cow!
So Jacob texted me after that, and we were talking about the immaculate inning and everything. You know what one of my favorite, things that has a nickname for it in Major League Baseball is? The golden sombrero. And listen, Greg Maddux used to get some guys with the golden sombrero. That's where you strike a guy out 3 times in a game. Yep. And you don't see as much of that anymore from one individual pitcher because pitchers just don't go as deep into games anymore.
That's true. Yeah, so to face that guy 3 times is rare, and to have to strike him out all 3 times you faced him. Back in the 70s when you had Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver, I'm sure that happened quite often. But these days, you're right, because guys just simply don't throw enough innings.
Yeah. Hey, with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Jim, what do you say we talk a little bit of college football? You down for that?
I'm always down for some college football talk, man.
Sure is. Hey, you're listening to The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. We'll be right back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's the Trade-In Man.
This is John Davis at Kia Cleveland announcing our summer blockbuster blowout. You don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Zero down. Zero payments this summer. Plus, I need your trade, and I need it today, and I'm willing to overpay. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Kia Cleveland, getting approved is a possible mission. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation. Remember, I'll beat any deal from anywhere in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama. Come see me, John Davis, your hero in the car business, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where getting the best deal is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland, super sport.
Example 25K4LX, 0 down, $349 per month for 72 months at 4.9% APR. Negative trade equity may be refinanced, subject to lender approval. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
ESPN Cleveland 1013 is powered by Duracell.
Need a new shop, garage, or other unique space? Explore post-frame building kits from Best Buy Metals. Best Buy Metals kits utilize steel trusses for the ultimate in strength and durability. When you need it to last, call Best Buy Metals. Stop by or visit bestbuymetalroof.com for your custom structure.
For a quarter of a century, Mix 1041 has been taking you out to the ball games.
Swanson to first. The Browns are world champions.
Since 2000, Mix 1041 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Hey, Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians $22 to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one. Medical, dental, and vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com.
Hey, have you ever seen, I'm trying to remember what Will Ferrell movie it is, but he's talking about his 401k, and he says, "What are you talking about? I've got $401,000." Every time you read that, that's what it makes me think of. Man. But hey, listen, so got another ticket giveaway here, so listen closely. All you've got to do is text 423-749-1013, the Volunteer Ridipest text line. And this one is presented by Crown Jeep and Ram of Cleveland for our Summer of Fun giveaway. We've got 2 tickets to the Chattanooga Aquarium. Listen, if you've not been down there in a while, the aquarium is popping. The kids love it. Listen, it's also perfect to go out on a date night. Go down to the aquarium, enjoy yourself, watch all the aquatic life swimming around and stuff. It's really a great experience. But again, presented by Crown Jeep and Ram of Cleveland, the Volunteer Ridipest text line, 423-749-1013. All you've got to do is text your name and aquarium for these 2 tickets to the Chattanooga Aquarium, and they will be given away today. So,
hey, do you think Steve would know if I won it? You know, since he doesn't know that I'm on the show. Anyways, do you think he would? You think I could sneak my name in there and potentially Who's
this Jacob guy that won these tickets?
So, hey, for those that don't know, we've just been we've been giving myself a hard time because all week Steve has done a good job promoting our show on the morning, but he just says Andy and Jim on the drive, and so I'm just here so I don't get fined. He
thinks you're on your 3rd week of vacation. Apparently,
I guess.
Listen, Jacob was gone for so long that he was forgotten. That's ultimately what comes down.
Yeah.
And
I was worried about that. I have FOMO, man. Fear of missing out. Fear of missing out.
But that's why I opened the show saying, yes, for all of you wondering, Jacob is here because Steve Hartline's been lying to you. Just so you know how that guy is, he's lying. Jacob's been in the building.
Just wait till you get his age, and I can vouch for it. Your memory, man. It's the first thing to go. You forget sometimes if I forget my last name, then I look at a stick of chewing gum. I'm like, oh yeah.
Hey,
Dad Gum.
That's right.
Dad Gum. You want to hear somebody who just randomly forgot? It sounds like Miami just randomly forgot that there's rules and that you can't recruit.
That's true.
People during the off season whenever you want. Kind of hit on that, Andy.
Yeah. So listen. talking about that Miami Hurricanes and that team, the Wisconsin Badgers. you know the Wisconsin Badgers? Yeah, that's how they say it up there. Wisconsin is suing Miami for tampering with a transfer. And listen, I think this is unique because this has been – college football has kind of set the precedence for it to be like the Wild Wild West. We've used that term on the show a lot because no one knows what you can, what you can't do. But when it comes to tampering with transfers, there's a set time. There's periods of time where you can reach out to kids from other schools.
When they enter the portal.
Once they've entered the portal and communicate with them, you can't be talking to kids when they're at a school. Like that's a recruiting violation, straight up.
I'm very curious of what's going to happen here because there's, that Miami's got their contention saying that that Wisconsin was doing something unethical, not allowing this guy in the portal or something like that. And then Wisconsin saying, listen, the guy had signed a contract with us for NIL stuff. He wasn't in a portal. You can't be talking to this kid. So I don't know what's going to happen, man.
For them to sue, though, they probably feel like they must have some pretty good information because, you hear all the time, like now that these guys have representatives, players have representatives, their agents basically will hold meetings where college football coaches hop on a Zoom, watch their film, and they're shopping them before the portal's even open. So if they're suing Miami, they must feel like it was very deliberate and intentional.
So listen to this. This is from Dan Murphy of ESPN.com. He's one of the college football writers. It says the lawsuit refers to the athlete in question as student athlete A, but details from the complaint line up with the offseason transfer of freshman defensive back Xavier Lucas. Lucas left Wisconsin and enrolled at Miami in January after saying the Badgers staff refused to enter his name in the transfer portal last December.
Yeah, that's the thing in question, is that right there.
So Wisconsin suing Miami. And so now to kind of to cover his new team's tail, he's trying to say, well, I wanted to enter the portal and they wouldn't let me do it.
They're not suing the player, by the way. They're not suing the player. The player's he's going to play at Miami, assuming he's eligible. But it's Wisconsin suing Miami.
Yeah, so it says here that in the complaint that was filed today, Wisconsin claims that a Miami staff member and a prominent alum met with Lucas and his family at a relative's home in Florida and offered him money to transfer shortly after Lucas signed a 2-year contract with Wisconsin last December.
Listen, I honestly, I know who. I'm not going to say it.
Say it.
It's the dude who owns that e-wallet.
Okay.
It's their huge. It has to be. If they're talking about it's a predominant, that dude, he moves in silence, but it starts to get out there. He's done some shady stuff.
Miami's got some money.
Behind Carson Beck, you think?
Lord Carson, I don't even want to get into that.
Well, it's another good football player moved from one prominent school, Georgia, to Miami.
That probably, and he probably had the twin that he was dating, set the meeting up.
Yes.
So who knows?
Which did you see where? And we might have mentioned this during the Carson Beck stuff when we were covering it here on the drive, but did you see where they were talking about just how weird of a dude that he is?
Yeah. Well, and then she dumped him. She dumped him and
she got him to Miami and said, "See ya,
see you later, dude." So I don't know, man. Hey,
see ya.
Shouts out to him. I'm one of those people. He served his time. He played for Georgia. He probably should have just went into the NFL draft. He'll go into the ACC and he'll probably light it up. Honestly.
Well, I just wonder if how his arm is going to be. That was a pretty significant injury that he suffered there, man.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I do know enough. I've got enough Florida fans and Florida State fans in my life that complain about Miami that dude that owns that e-wallet or whatever is super shady. So I would not be surprised if it was him.
Well, this is the first time we've ever seen this in the in this new era of college football. I'm not saying this is not the first time this has happened, but it's the first time another school has got so mad about it that they filed a lawsuit. Listen, college football has been dirty for all of our lives, and it will continue to be dirty. There's always going to be some underhandedness going on.
It's a different world now with the whole portal thing, no doubt about it. So now, not only are you talking about in the past where we've done this with recruits and trying to undercut other teams and kind of playing universities against each other, now you're doing it with guys that are already in your league per se. And so I tell you what, it's fun to keep up with, but it can be confusing at times. So the more info we get on it, the more I eat it up. But Jim, yesterday we were talking about this off air, but I had asked you if you remembered Bob Hope's All-American Team special they used to do.
Those, man. I used to watch those things every year. They were always on NBC.
Yeah.
Bob Hope was an NBC guy, so all of his specials were on NBC, and you have the All-Americans. They came out in full uniform, and it was so cool to look at these guys. I just love those, man. I miss them.
And that's one of those things. It's kind of like, you don't want to. It came out this week that Lee Corso, the last headgear that he puts on is the last one they're ever going to do on College Game Day. They're never again going to have someone put on a headgear.
Oh, wow.
So that came out this week. And I wonder if the whole Bob Hope's All-American thing, they didn't want to give that or let someone else do that just because that was his thing. But like the way I look at it, like New Year's Eve, big holiday, it's right there during the New Year's Six bowl games and everything. And for years, I was flipping between football and then Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Right.
And so now Ryan Seacrest is doing it, and they still it's still Dick Clark's thing. They call it that. But I would love to see this All-American special come back, because do you know how many people, like, we know who All-Stars are in Major League Baseball. We know who makes an All-Star team. There are so many people that are just kind of fair weather college football fans or just don't have the time to dive in. That you don't know who All-Americans are anymore.
Yeah, you'd have to pay the players these days for that to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it would be. And you know what you said?
Hey, incentive.
I'm shocked about the headgear thing, because I was sure that Pat McAfee would at least do it a few times. So, in honor of Coach Corso, I'm going to so they're not going to let him do it. Then I figured if anyone would do it, it'd have been Pat McAfee.
I almost feel like it's a mistake. I understand the honoring, but like honor him by like continuing the tradition on
the Corso headgear
yes.
thing or whatever.
And that was mentioned, but they said it's not going to happen. So what I hope they do, I hope they don't completely abandon the mascots. I hope they do kind of like a South Carolina when they released the Gamecock, when they pull the sheet and he's in the cage shaking. Yeah. I hope they do something where the mascots make a cool entrance or appearance, because cool. You're still involving that aspect of it. But the headgear, everyone that's a college football fan, when they hear that and think of that, they think Lee Corso. So I'm kind of on board with it, but do something else that fills that void and still makes it fun. But hey, listen, great show today, guys. Jim, you got something for us?
Hey, I'm taking the Pacers to win the NBA.
That's it. Hey,
I'm taking the Pacers, guys.
So it's going 7. Jim was all OKC yesterday, by the way, but Indiana showed up and played some defense last night in the NBA Finals in Game 6.
They also had probably one of the swaggiest plays of the year. I don't even know how to explain the no-look pass. He kind of does a 360 into it, and then he goes over 2 guys and then absolutely buries it. It was nasty. So NBA Finals, that's going to be exciting.
Listen,
College World Series.
That's it. Hey,
all of it.
SGA, I think they woke him up last night. I think he's going to have a huge Game 7, Thunder all the way. Listen, you've been here with us on The Drive all week long. Great week this week. We appreciate it. For Jim Gum, Jacob Mason, I'm Andy Morris. We'll be back with you guys next week.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland. Or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon. It remains heavy at times through our city in the construction zone here on 75 north and southbound at East Brainerd Road. It could be slow here even over the weekend. Aware of that. Traffic still stopping on 153 and Hamill Road. All that traffic pushing back into the Hickson area. No shortage of radar. 24 out through Marion County this afternoon. Rick's Lock and Key, Chattanooga's leading locksmith. Since 1973, if you get locked out this weekend, they're open 24 hours a day. Call Rick's Lock and Key 892-1700. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
From the Alon Planning Partners Weather Center, here's your forecast on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Visit them online at alonplanning.com or give them a call at 423-315-1441.
certainly is going to feel like summer as we head into next week. Today is really going to be the first hot day as highs climb to around 90 degrees this afternoon. We'll have plenty of sunshine and no rain chances. Tonight, lows will drop down into the 60s, and this weekend, highs will range from the low to mid-90s with the heat index possibly pushing over 100. For the latest, download the Local 3 weather app. I'm Storm Alert meteorologist Clay Smith.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's the Trade-In Man.
This is John Davis at Kia Cleveland announcing our summer blockbuster blowout. You don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Zero down. Zero payments this summer. Plus, I need your trade, and I need it today, and I'm willing to overpay. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Kia Cleveland, getting approved is a possible mission. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation. Remember, I'll beat any deal from anywhere in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama. Come see me, John Davis, your hero in the car business, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where getting the best deal is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
Example 25K4LX. 0 down, $349 per month for 72 months at 4.9% APR. Negative trade equity may be refinanced, subject to lender approval. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks. Dalton Pike at the state line.
The difference between an average morning and a Hardee's morning is hearty goodness that lasts till lunchtime. Like Hardee's smoked sausage biscuit. Split Hillshire Farm smoked sausage on a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit. And our Frisco breakfast sandwich with cherrywood smoked bacon or ham on toasted sourdough. Hardee's, goodness in the making. Download the app and join my rewards for special offers. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Not all composite decking is the same. Enjoy life's beautiful moments on an equally beautiful composite deck. Envision's products feature deep, non-repeating grains and distinct colors throughout each pour, offering a truly unique appearance unlike anything else on the market. Learn more and find inspiration for your project at Cleveland Plywood. Cleveland Plywood Company, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland.
Imagine this, handheld pizza puffs filled with mozzarella cheese and pizza sauce, topped with buttery garlic drizzle, with either 3 herbs or pepperonis. Well, it's a reality. Little Caesar's Crazy Puffs. Pick them up at 3 locations, Paul Huff, Keith Street,